gentlemen, are there any other Back to the Future cast crew here? I thought it might be a surprise or two other than Don Fullilove, who came at the last minute, an amazing surprise. Ladies and gentlemen, Goldie Wilson, Don Fullilove.
Oh, way to put me on the spot, man. And you know what? I gotta tell you, man, you DeLorean people are something else. You guys are all right. Last night when I first got here, I said a few things. I was like, you know, give yourselves a hand. Please, once again, give yourselves a hand. You guys are awesome. Some of these cars are just ridiculous. You couldn't even make some of this stuff up in the movie business. I'll just give a quick story to pass the mic. He said a story about Back to the Future. First I did Back to the Future, I said, wow, okay, I got a part. As an actor, man, you get a part, you're cooking, right? Because you spend 99% of your time unemployed. So that 1% of the time that I got a job, I was doing this movie, it was called Back to the Future. I was working with this guy named Eric Stoltz. It was like, okay. We did the whole film, well, my part anyway. And I'm like, wow, I'm in this movie, this is cool. And I got a Christmas gift. 2 weeks after Christmas says, you know, Don, hey, would you like to come and do it all over again with this guy named Michael J. Fox? And I was like, that's like 2 jobs in one? I'm like, yeah. Had no idea whatsoever that Back to the Future would grow into what it has grown into. It is the most amazing phenomenon in my life. And then to have all of you be a part of it with your, as he calls it, DeLorean fanaticism, has been absolutely fantastic. And I just want to thank all of you guys for your influence, for your love of what it is we do, because without you, what we do means nothing. And I just want to thank you all.
A funny thing that happened to me, when we got the script, there was a thing on each page that had, I don't know, it was something special. It was like a film that you couldn't see on each page, and we were told that we couldn't tell, we had signed a contract that we couldn't tell anyone the story or say anything about the movie at all to anybody, which I stuck to. And we were told that if we Xeroxed the script, each script had a secret number affiliated with the person who had the script, and that number would pop up once it's being Xeroxed, and would get really, really. And I found out a couple of years ago there was no special film. And then I missed it. I didn't know that. Is that your next? Okay. Well, I wasn't. Okay. I did a pilot called Off the Rack with Ed Asner and Eileen Brennan for ABC. And then after we did the pilot, I auditioned for Back to the Future. And I just tested for Gremlins, Goonies, and Sherlock Holmes. So I really was like, hi guys, it's me again. I got the part. And then we found out that Off the Rack was being picked up for ABC, and it was shooting at the same time as my part was supposed to be shooting for Back to the Future, and ABC wouldn't let me go to do the movie. And so I had to back out of being Jennifer. They recast my part, and I did my 8 shows for Off the Rack, 6 or 7 shows of Off the Rack. Then they let go of Eric like a week later. And I was then available. They hired Michael. I like to think they wanted me back, but the girl that they recast was too tall. It was Melora Hardin, and she and I were like major competitors. Every single thing that either of us auditioned for, it was either her or me. Pretty much they got it. They almost took turns, so it's kind of not good that she didn't do it, but so, life. So then I got my part back, and I got to do Back to the Future with Bob and everyone. And then everyone always asks why we're doing 2 and 3, and I was supposed to be in them, but I'm the one backed out. I had lots of personal things going on at home, and my mom was dying. It was just all too much for me. So that's the other story. And favorite part of Back to the Future is my friendship with you.
I closed my eyes for a second, the microphone was in my hands. Thanks. So, yes, I was absorbing it all. It was wonderful. I had come to Hollywood testing for the lead in War Games in '82 and had worked with Lithgow on a Twilight Zone movie at Warner Brothers and Clint Eastwood on Gale-cowriter. And I thought, you know, this career is great, and then I lost my career at 8. Being sort of, you know, kept floating, doing live entertainment at Universal Hollywood. If you attended Hollywood Universal Studios during, say, '87 to about 2000, and you had your picture with Stan Laurel or Charlie Chaplin across your marks, there's a good chance it was me. I had gone up on a film called The Secret of My Success with Fox, starring, to play the guy who shows him around the office how things are done. And, you know, like many other films that I'd gone up on, you know, oh, you're really good, you know, we like it down the line, and then at the last minute, they went in a different direction. On this one, I didn't get the part to help as Fox's good friend in the office because I was too tall. I was too tall. You're taller than Mike.
Look at the shoes. No, I'm not.
Oh, she's in Hills. So, flash forward about '89. I get a call from a look-alike agency. You know who Crispin Glover is? Sure, I did film with him at AFI. He's a great actor. I don't know this great. What's up? Well, we need a photo double stand-in on Back to the Future sequel. I'm not at liberty to say. So going through the meeting process with the directors and auditions with the casting directors and screen tests and makeup tests and so on and so forth, and finally get the part of stand-in photo double, Friday finding out, no, you're going to be the role. What? How can you do this film without him? Well, most people know the story, it's just a little too neurotic and complicated, and I stepped into some very big shoes. But here I was, finally, working with Michael J. Fox. Not because I was too tall, finally. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Let me just pick up off of what Jeffrey said, because a lot of people always ask why. They asked why Claudia was in the sequels, why wasn't Crispin in the sequels? Crispin actually didn't particularly like the first movie. Go figure. Anyway, he didn't come to the cast and crew screening, he wouldn't do publicity really. He didn't like the fact that the movie seemed to be celebrating 80s values at the end. In fact, the hardest thing that we had to do was to get him to wear a polo shirt at the very end of Back to the Future Part 1. So when we decided, when Zemeckis and I said we're going to do a sequel, we said, well, before we write a word, let's find out who will be in it. Because we knew if we didn't have Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, there's no movie. So we contacted both of those guys and they said, hey, if you guys are doing it, we're in. And we made deals with them. The studio, in their wisdom, made sequel deals for 2 movies, not just one. We were only thinking about Part 2. We contacted Leah Thompson. She said, if it's Bob and Bob, I'm in. Same thing with Tom Wilson. Crispin Glover, nah, he wanted a ridiculous amount of money. And the guy that sustained 80s values blew the deal over money. So, anyway, because we knew we didn't have them, we just wrote them out of the story. So the reason that when you watch Back to the Future 2, George McFly's a tombstone because Crispin didn't want to be in it. We decided we needed to have some sort of presence of George McFly, and here we have Jeffrey. My Back to the Future story is a little different from these great stories, but it's interesting, I think. I was doing storyboards, and Steven Spielberg had us there at Hamlet in this wonderful art department. It was really beautiful. And Stephen was very proud of his facility, and he would bring visitors into the building and show them the different areas, and sometimes walk them through the art department. So you would get used to these tours, and of course you know to look up and gawk at who the person is coming in, because it could be some kind of celebrity or just somebody's uncle or whatever, you know. So you pay attention to your work, and I'm there doing storyboards, and behind me there were there's a sort of pinup board. So there were some storyboards and some of Ron Cobb's beautiful drawings of the car, and some of my sketches of the car, a variety of things to look at. So my table was kind of over in the corner, and I'm working. I think I was the only one that, in fact, I know I was the only one in the department at the time, and you hear Steve's voice, you know, coming down the hall, and you can hear, here comes another tour. Some woman, you know, you can hear the heels clicking on the floor, and some kid with her. So it's like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And I've got my nose in the storm on my desk. You know, I get closer. But here's our art department, and here's some of the drawings that the people are doing. And so he's, you know, the little kid runs up and he's looking at the drawings. And I'm still working away, and Steve says, and here's our storyboard artist. This is Andrew Probert. Andrew, why don't you meet? And I look up, and he says, why don't you meet Sophia Loren? I hurt my chin when I hit the drawing. I stood up and shook her hand, and thought, yeah, she's still cool. Little kid, for his name, so there are some advantages to being a storyboard artist. They don't talk about it. But
now that we couldn't tell in the beginning because of the changes that we had. You have to realize that when we did Back to the Future, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, we didn't have laptops, we didn't have Twitter. We didn't have the ability to communicate like we did now. And now, as you know, yes, we did make a connecting change in the beginning. We had to do some do-overs. I started the project before they actually had a casting line. They had some strange people coming in and going out. We were doing some high-bright LED camera tests, and Dave kind of get a cinematographer myself to go see some of the dailies on that stuff. And we got a chance to see some of the crazy work with Crispin and his screen tests that were just unbelievable. No matter what Bob pulled him to do, he would do something arcanely different. It was just an amazing time. One time we actually had Thomas Howell in the job to see, and I called my daughter and I said, "Pony, nails makers," and things like that. But we actually did shoot a movie with skulls, and for all the reasons that came to be from the powers that be, they grabbed us on the carpet and went to those malls, so they were going to make a change, and they got the person that the original one. One of the last scenes that we did was we had to do a scene with Crispin and the Marty character at a house in Pasadena where Marty's going to teach his father how to get tough. And the way they set it up was they were going to do it with a clothesline and a duffel bag full of some intimate underwear, which is provocative because George was hesitant to intimate. It was really cutesy and things like that. And in the original design, they help him get tough, and he punches it really hard. And they ended that scene with the duffel bag going through and breaking a breakaway window as a cat, and we're out. So, in the end, we had to go to a local location in Pasadena, we're very strict with climatic, and we had built some concrete pods in the ground, and some pipe, and a T, and the other end was some clothesline. It was a very basic install. It was one of the simplest gigs that we had to do in the whole movie. And without a doubt, I was under a great deal of pressure from the unit manager. It was just tough as nails trying to drive a wedge between the director and the budget, and me and my work on the show. And everything that we had to do was just horrifically difficult. But this was one of the simplest gigs. Clothesline, a duffel bag. He clips the duffel bag on the clothesline, and he teaches his father to punch him. New act. We're doing the same scene. It's one of the first scenes that we do with Marty, Michael J. Fox. Kevin, they want you on this. What for? They want you to say they have a problem. How can they have a problem? we don't have any problem. It's the clothesline. The clothesline is still at the house. We never struck it. It's still there. There's not a damn thing different. The only thing different is you have an actor that's a foot shorter. What could be the problem? And Michael couldn't reach to put the double back on the line. And they had to saw off the clothesline, cut a foot out of it, weld it back together with the tools they had on the truck while the whole company waited. And that's the story of the chair.
Let's take a couple of quick questions for anybody up here except for me. Because I'll be up here after that. Somebody must have a question. Somebody.
So, in hindsight,
Hello?
in hindsight, always look back and say, what would have changed? What would have done differently? Is there, and I don't know if you guys can say anything you would change about the story around
No. No. The question was, if I had to do it all over again, is there anything in the movie that I would have changed? And the answer is no. The movie's perfect enough. Would have been nice to have a little bit more time. The movie's well enough alone. Let's not screw up the space-time continuum.
What you have to understand is, when we started the movie, we had a great script. And it's not the script that we shot. They continue, like we continue to work when they write gags, they continue to write better and better and better and better all the way through. And as you know, when we get script changes, they come in different colors. So we know that this is different. We need to take the old white pages out and put in a new color, be it mid, yellow, here, whatever it is. And by the time we got to some mid-meeting, we had a meeting again in the middle of everything. And Dean Fundy, our cinematographer, looked at the rainbow script that he had and said, did I screw up? Am I the only person that still has one white page left in my script?
With the wide variety of cars to choose from, why did you choose the DeLorean?
Okay, a lot of people have asked that question. Why do we choose a DeLorean? And of course, there's also the legend that the time machine was once a refrigerator. It was sort of a refrigerator. It was a time chamber that Doc made out of an old refrigerator with a glass door, so it was a cross between a refrigerator and a telephone booth. And Doc had to move it around on the back of a pickup truck. And one day, Zemeckis comes into the office, and we're in rewrite mode and pre-production mode, and he says, you know, it'd be a whole lot easier if we just built the time machine into a car. Then we could save the step of moving the vehicle, and then it's always mobile. And I said, that's a good idea. And he said, let's make it a DeLorean. We use the gull-wing doors. I said, well, is there any other car with a gull-wing door? Well, there was a Mercedes. No, Doc would have a DeLorean because it was just too cool. John DeLorean, I think, was on trial at the time, so there was an outlaw aspect of it. And the gull-wing door gag made the this is a car of the future work so much better with the farm family. Are there people here who haven't heard the Mustang story? Just a couple, but people like it, I'll tell it. We have as you know, back to the future, there's a lot of product placement. We use product placement for two reasons. The most important reason in our movie is that seeing brand names give a sense of reality. And what we did in picking different brands was to try to find products where the logo had changed between 1955 and 1985. So we used Pepsi, but not Coke, because the Coca-Cola logo has never changed, and the Pepsi logo has. We used Texaco instead of Shell, because the Shell logo in 55 was the same as 85, and Texaco was really different. So Universal put a product placement company on to help us with this, because when you get these companies involved, a lot of times they pay you money to have their product in the movie. And that, from a producing standpoint, that's great. If there's anything to help with the budget, that's great. Well, they hired a guy who was scum, basically. No, there's no nice word to put it. The guy was a hustler, con man, and the way his deal worked was that for every deal that he made, if a company put up $20,000 to be in the movie, he pocketed half of the money. So he's trying to get all these companies into the movie that don't belong or aren't really going to be in there. So one day, he's in my office with the woman from Universal, who's the Universal representative, and they say, Bob, $75,000 for the production if you change the DeLorean to a Ford Mustang. And I looked at him and I said, Richard, Doc Brown doesn't drive an effing Mustang.
What was it in the early to mid-90s? When did they make the Newsies? When they were shooting Newsies there, in fact, it was like one of the first films that Disney used the Universal lot. What was it, 92? A fire broke out and burned the lot, basically. And most of Hill Valley of the Future burned, and all those antique cars that were on the Newsies burned. It was a terrible fire. That was heartbreaking, of course. But the sets that are still, I think they rebuilt the clock tower, didn't they?
There's been 2 fires, and the last fire was about 3 years ago, I think it was. And they did reconstruct, the last fire was really nasty. They rebuilt New York Street, they rebuilt half the courthouse square. The clock tower actually didn't burn down in the last fire, but they reconfigured Courthouse Square, so it's a little bit different. If you go take the Universal tour today, you'll know that you're on Back to the Future Courthouse Square, but the way that it's oriented is a little bit different. And people ask me all the time, well, are you sad about that? I said, no, because that means that it's more unique in Back to the Future, and nobody can actually copy it. Before Back to the Future, the most common, most familiar use of the courthouse, it was the courthouse in To Kill a Mockingbird. So go rent that and watch it again, you see the courthouse, that's us. Also about the birthday.
I went there last week. And you know, they got the tour of the trams, it goes all up and around everything. Oh yeah, I had a drive-on pass, I drove my car. And up there at the top, somewhere along that route, is Goldie Wilson's hover converted Edison. The pink Edison. Oh yeah.
Question?
Yep.
Based on your story about you tell something I think there's a story about a kid takes something, changes it for another reason, and he didn't want to take it, and going to get lots of himself in prison.
The question was, in the supplements on the DVD, Bob Zemeckis talks about changing the time machine from a chamber to a car because we were afraid kids would go lock themselves up in a refrigerator. Well, not really. That's just a good story. Zemeckis is a hell of a good storyteller. That sounds great. And then, of course, Spielberg goes and rips it off for the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Question was, can I comment on the Back to the Future game? How much influence did I have? I was a story consultant on it. Everything in terms of what the story of the game is, I had input on some of the game stuff. That was all the game guys. They were all big Back to the Future fans. I got along really well with those guys. And if you want to have sort of this experience of what another Back to the Future movie could be, pick up the game. It's pretty simple. It's not one of these games where you have to have the reflexes of 10-year-old. Are we going to do a sequel to this? I don't know. That's what you're telling me. The more you guys buy the game, maybe they will. Way in the back.
I got a question. I don't know if you heard any rumors, but I've been reading about it for a couple months now that Michael Bay has actually picked up the Back to the Future remake.
No remakes, no Back to the Future Part 4.
It's been said.
Yeah, Matt.
I like your outfit. Here. I just like that Michael and I can fit on one seat together. That's so